We've had, as a youngster, I had a chance to watch some great baseball up there. And the Cape Cod League is one of the prime leagues in the summertime. And they had a great pickoff there as the second baseman, Sergio Espinal, comes up and picks the pocket of the catcher for the Sooners, Billy Paul, and he is gone and 2 down.
Billy Paul now 0 for 6. I believe he's playing in Harwich. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where it is.
Down on the east side of the Cape.
Yeah.
What's great about that, by the way, is that the players get good jobs in the summer. They're outside, they're along the ocean, and they really enjoy it. And it's they don't have to go too far from one city to the other to play.
One of the things that's remarkable about that summer league is the fact that they use wooden bats. And they are the only, apparently, non-pro baseball league that still uses wooden bats.
Stepping up to the plate now is the first baseman for the Sooners, Sharon Grubb. Sean ground out to third base and was thrown out finally by the pitcher down the third baseline in that second inning or third inning of play. And they wait to see if they picked him off first base.
What happened, the ball bounced and hit the third base bag, and I think the third baseman did a remarkable job of coming up with it. But he was in foul territory when he did. It was a fair ball. His throw, just as it had been in the previous inning, was low in the dirt. This time Berrigan smothered it, but the safe call was made by the umpire, and it probably will go as an infield hit and should.
So Grubb gets on first base with 2 outs. The Sooners have a man on board. And Lavender now steps up. The left fielder singled in the third inning.
Boy, great stop there. My goodness, that ball was labeled wild pitch from the beginning of Jimmy Long's delivery to the end of it. And Diaz did a fine job of smothering it.
Long is 2-1 in the career. This season in 1986, he was 4-3 last year. Had an inflated ERA for the OSU Cowboys. Last year it's 7.93. But as Mike mentioned so many times here in the last couple of nights, that the pitching is not really always the key in college baseball. Is you have to have a good mixture of hitting and pitching. And they say pitching is 75% of the game.
Yes, it is. And if you're 75% shot before the season begins, it doesn't leave much to go with.
So Sean Grubb is on first base with a single. 2 balls, no strikes.
And it appears there's going to be an argument about the throw to first base. Gary Ward says, hey, I thought we had him. What are you calling? How are you calling it? Where is the tag? These are questions you ask. And really, Steve, you know this. You don't argue for the call that's already been made. You argue for the next one. Just plant the seed.
Gary Ward out there having a discussion with the first base umpire. Ward, the head coach for OSU, 45 years of age. 9th season, he's got a great record. 403 victories and 141 losses. Only 3 other coaches have a better winning percentage. He had his 400th win against Rice last week. 2 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch.
The funny part about it is Grubb, of all the Sooners, is probably the least likely to attempt to try to steal a base. 6'5", 220, doesn't get down the line that fast. As you look in the statistics, he hasn't even attempted a stolen base this year.
3-0 pitch up high, and in 4 pitches, Lavender is on. Lavender's on for the second time tonight, and all of a sudden the Sooners are starting to rally here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th.
One of the things that you try to remind your players of, particularly in an instance with Sean Grubb running at first base, he is not a base-stealing threat. He is not going to steal. So you try to tell him you don't want to get the big leads. You don't want to put yourself in a position to get picked off because that just kills us.
Brooks with a hard liner to shortstop. They step on second base. They get him, and that'll do it for the Sooners in the bottom of the 4th. So they come up with no runs and 1 hit, but they continue to lead after 4 complete from all sports. It's the Sooners 2, the Cowboys 1. We're sure excited about bringing you these 11 games that we are scheduled to show you this year of the OU Sooners action, and we've got not only the OSU game here, but we'll be going off to showing you the Texas game that'll be coming up in about a week or so on Monday, April 7th. And we also have Nebraska on board, Missouri, and exhibition game with the 89ers. That'll be a good one.
Steve, we really don't know why that the umpires are conferring with Coach Enos Seymour. They had a talk with the batter as he came to the plate, and I'm not speculating because I really don't know what the situation was. Many times it revolves around where a batter stands. Is he too deep in the box, that his back foot is off the line? Is he too close to the plate? What? But it doesn't appear that that's the particular problem here.
McKercher for the Cowboys bunts it, but he's called out at first base. So he is gone, and the Cowboys are now moving on from their DH to Monty Ferris, the shortstop, as he steps up. 7th man in the order for the Cowboys.
Steve, that's like finding gold for a pitcher like Sherman Collins, who does not throw with great control when you first ball swing and he gets an out with just one pitch.
Sure cuts down the number of deliveries they come up with there tonight. Monty Ferris hitting .237, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs. And he grounded out to the shortstop in the 2nd inning. Coach Gary Ward would love to have those numbers up a little higher on the average side, just hitting .237.
Sooner pitching coach Stan Meek said that if Collins runs into trouble, that right-hander Tony Guillory would be the first man to try to help out of the bullpen. When asked about his starter tomorrow, it is going to be a left-hander by the name of Tim Swab, who came into the season as the number 2 pitcher, starting pitcher, but has really not performed very well at all. He has been rocked around. His earned run average is way up. But again, Stan Zaltzman did the job today, so perhaps Tim Swab can find what he lost in the fall and do something with it.
2-1 pitch. Long fly ball out to center, and it's pulled in by Bain Brooks, and it's 2 down. So Ferris got all of it and more, but he sent it Bain Brooks back to almost the warning track, and it's now 2 away for the Cowboys.
Center fielder Mark Malaysia.
Mark Malaysia steps up. Grounded out in the 2nd inning. Malaysia, who did not play the opening game of the series, had been on a somewhat of a tear before he came into the series.
Mark did play this afternoon. Steve had 1 hit out of 3 trips and scored 1 of the 2 Cowboy runs.
Two gone, top of the 5th here from All Sports Stadium. Sooners looking to make it 3 in a row against the Cowboys. Still a long way to go in this one, though. Malaysia hitting .364, no home runs on the year, has 8 RBIs. A sophomore out of Geneva, Ohio. 2 players from Ohio in the lineup tonight for the Cowboys.
I don't have a score sheet in front of me, but I think that Sherman Collins, he issued a walk to the leadoff man. He may have issued 1 more, but that certainly has been the story of his performance tonight, the lack of ball 4, 1 walk at the leadoff man. And I'll tell you what, Sherman Collins, we talked all about his bases on ball statistics in ratio to his strikeouts and innings pitched, but he has really carved up the dish tonight, no doubt.
Here's the pitch by Collins, a fly ball to right field that drops in for a base hit. Well, we thought maybe that Chris Dahl would have enough room to come over to make the catch, but the dying Quayle dropped in front of him.
Steve, of course, if you make the diving try in the outfield and the ball gets by you, it's 2 or 3 bases. So with a 1-run lead and there are 2 outs, they haven't been peppering Sherman Collins. It is a safety-first situation. If it's in the 9th inning or if you're behind, you can't afford to take any more, you go ahead and make the try, but not in a situation like this. And Chris did what you should do: play it safety, get the ball back into second base, and hope that Collins can retire the hitter.
So Mark Malaysia on first base. The Cowboys now have 3 hits on the night. They also have 2 errors. And Brian Casco steps up, hitting .227, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs. As we said, the freshman out of Poland, Ohio, he struck out in the 3rd inning. Now another quick throw over to first base. Sherman Collins cruising along here so far. After the Cowboys scored a run in the 1st inning, he's been able to whitewash them for the next 3. Here we are in the top of the 5th from All Sports. Sooners 2-0 in Big 8 action. after their first 2 wins here. Fly ball out to left field, and it's gathered in, and the Cowboys are gone here in the top of the 5th. The Sooners continue to lead. They come up now in the bottom of the 5th from All Sports. It's 2-1 OU. We'll be back right after this. Time out. Sooners come to bat the bottom of the 5th, looking for their 6th straight victory in a row. And coming up now in the bottom of the 5th, third baseman Jim Richardson. Richardson is 2 for 2 with 1 RBI. He doubled in the first inning. He also doubled in the third. Can't get much better than that, Mike.
No, we talked about what he has done in this series. It has been remarkable, and that the fact that his average continues to rise will do so even if he makes 3 straight outs, because that would leave him 2 for 5. Takes a strike here, but Jimmy Richards certainly with a hot hand.
Here's the pitch by Long. Up high and inside, 1-1. You know, Mike, this is a great time for spectators to enjoy NCAA sports. You know, you've got not only the Final Four going on in college basketball, which is now down to the Final 2. You've got the women's Final Four going on. You've got baseball, cross country, golf, tennis. And you've also got the Final Four in hockey, so it's quite a great time right now for NCAA sports. Exciting time for fans.
It really is, and we hope that all of you within the sound of our voice will watch your favorite college play. And I know that all of you aren't OU or OSU fans, that there are certainly fans of a lot of other schools, but if you have the chance, support them, because that's what it takes. You'll enjoy it, and it'll certainly help the school.
3 balls, 1 strike to Jim Richardson. And he takes a strike for 3-2. Full count now. Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve.
I was just going to say that we're down to 2 basketball teams, and Kansas lost tonight, so Richardson now sends a chopper to second, a quick throw, and he is gone. So Richardson, who had gone 2 for 2, is gone by the wayside here, and coming up third in the order, Kevin Burdick.
Nice piece of pitching by Long, who fell behind Richardson 3-1, got the strike, and then forced the ground out. There's some activity down in the Cowboy bullpen. Jimmy Long has pitched very, very well. The Sooners have had only 5 hits. Both of their runs are unearned, and yet Cowboys are warming someone up. So, and so are the Sooners. So it's getting to that point of the game where they feel that maybe the starting pitchers will start getting a little bit tired. They have not been going 9 innings. The Sooners only have 3 complete games all year long, and 2 of those are 7-inning games. So this is the point the coaches want somebody ready just in case.
Burdick, who's gone 1 for 2 tonight, grounded out at first during the first inning, and he singled to third. And looked like on that last pitch, I don't know if he's trying to duck out of the way or try to bunt. And he's now facing an 0-2 situation. Burdick batting .429. Sooners ahead here, 2-1, bottom of the 5th inning.
Had Burdick fooled, came in with a changeup curveball, and Birdie was able to just keep it alive by poking it foul. A lot of people don't realize that many times hitters in a defensive posture just like Burdick realize that if they let the pitch go, they might be called out. They can't do anything with it, so they just get a piece. They live to fight another day.
Here's the pitch up high, strike 3, as Barry Long, or Jimmy Long, takes care of Kevin Burdick. And he strikes out, and they're now 2 away.
Well, you can't say as much as you'd like to about the pitching of Jimmy Long and Sherman Collins, both of whom have performed magnificently through 5 innings tonight.
Jimmy Long has 2 strikeouts and 1 walk in the game so far. Collins for OU has 4 strikeouts and a walk. Toll is 0 for 2 tonight. He grounded out in the first inning, and he reached first on an error in the third. Here's the pitch. High fly ball, chasing back for it is Berrigan. He gives way, and the cut is there and made by Sergio Espinal. The Sooners are gone here in the bottom of the 5th. So after 5 complete, OU still leads the Cowboys 2-1 here from All Sports. This is KCOX. Sergio Espinal leads the way for the Cowboys here in the top of the 6th. The second baseman is 0-1 tonight. He walked in the first and was struck out in the third. Went to John F. Kennedy High School in New York, redshirted last year. And Sergio has the responsibility of leading off these Cowboys this year. A bunt over to the first to Collins. He throws him out at first base, and Espinal is gone here in the top of the sixth.
Steve, that's the third consecutive inning that one of the Cowboys has tried a bunt on Collins and been thrown out by the pitcher, and now they're one out. It's interesting to note, if you get a chance to take a look at it, both the second baseman and the shortstop, we're talking about Pearson and Toll, are on the grass. Now, you'd think that without an artificial surface that they would playing on the skin part of the infield. That usually indicates that the ball is getting to them a lot quicker, that the grass may be cut short, it may be rather hard, maybe the skin part of the infield is hard, but you usually see that when the ball travels in a hurry, when it doesn't slow down, when it hits that infield. So both the shortstop and second baseman playing just off the skin part on the outfield grass.
Cowboys catcher Alan Smith up 0 for 2 on the night. He was thrown out at first base in the first inning, and he struck out in the third. There's the pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Collins continues to cruise along here. Seems to be getting tougher almost every inning that he's pitching. He's given up 1 run, 3 hits.
One of the things that you hear every once in a while an announcer say that as a pitcher goes along that he's getting stronger. See, there's no way that a pitcher gets stronger as he pitches 7, 8, 9 innings. But he does get into a groove. He does find his rhythm. So although he certainly isn't stronger as the game goes along, he is much more adept to what he's trying to do. Collins had a rough first inning, but he has found his groove, at least until this hitter, and has been pitching in a mechanical mode, which is what obviously they want.
3-2 pitch. Smith swings and misses. He's tagged out. And the throw to first. He is gone. So Smith is gone now. 2 outs. And Collins, as you mentioned, in a groove, very much like bowling.
That's right, certainly.
Your arm doesn't get better as you throw your third game, obviously. But if you find that niche and you get the groove, you could stand on your head and still throw strikes.
That's a good example. I think that's right. But every once in a while you hear, boy, he's getting stronger as the game goes along. It just doesn't happen.
So Robin Ventura, the third baseman, 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out in the first and the fourth. Here's the pitch. Low and inside, and got away from the Sooner catcher, Billy Carver. 1 ball, no strikes. Well, as I said, we're down to 2 teams in the NCAA college basketball. We've got Duke. We've got Louisville. Of course, the Big 8 representative Kansas lost today.
Which cost both the Cowboys and the Sooners some money.
Good point. Prediction-wise, any picks?
Yeah, I think Duke. I think that they've done that all year long. They've played a really tough schedule, and I think that they'll beat Louisville.
Well, you heard the prediction. I wouldn't head to Vegas on that prediction, but you've heard it anyway from Mike Treps.
I wouldn't sell the house either, Steve.
The man who reads a lot of the college PR releases. Of course, we know what a lot of those releases are saying, obviously, but also tonight, college hockey. Harvard tonight against Michigan State, the final game. Take a swap at that one.
I don't even understand hockey rules, much less be able to predict the winner of a college game.
Another foul out of play there by Robin Ventura, the third baseman. Well, you know, Harvard, who came into the game tonight, by the way, with Michigan State, OU with the same colors, crimson and cream, and our producer director in the truck, Mark Foley from Boston, picks Michigan State.
There you are.
I'll take Harvard.
Well, last summer while I was visiting Boston, I did take a trip to Harvard and had my picture made so that I can actually prove that I went to Harvard.
Very good. Well, we know his close friends won't believe that, but hopefully these strangers will.
I don't think you believe it.
No. Here's the 1 ball, 2 strike delivery. Outside, 2-2 and low. Of course, they've got the Harvard Coop there, which is really an amazing place. You know, you can go in there. They've got thousands of volumes of books, great posters. It's quite a place. It takes you a couple hours to walk through it. You get spoiled if you're a student there. Robin Ventura batting .436. Outside by Collins. Full count now. 2 outs. Collins trying to get the Cowboys out of this inning.
Sherm was ahead on the count 0-2, but as you just mentioned, Ventura has been able to ward off with a couple of foul balls and now has worked the count out to 3-2. And the potential tying run is at the plate every time somebody comes up. Now he'll move to first base if Sherm doesn't get him with his pitch.
Here's the windup, the 3-2 pitch. Pop fly out to Left field coming in and making the catch is the center fielder, Bain Brooks, on the short fly. The Cowboys are gone here in the top of the sixth. It's 2-1. OU Sooners looking to make it 3 in a row. We'll see if they can do it, but we'll be back right after this. To deep short, pulled in, and he is gone. As Monty Ferris walked way back and pulled that one in, and it's 1 out here for the Sooners in the bottom of the sixth.
A couple of points. On the last out of the top of the sixth inning, you saw a ball hit to left center field, which looked like the left fielder's responsibility. Bain Brooks came over and made the play. The center fielder is the quarterback out there. He is the one who decides if he can get to a ball, it's his ball, and he calls off the left or right fielder, and they go by what he says. So most of the time, if you see a ball in left center field, it'll be the center fielder who probably will make the play. On that last pop-up that Kevin Pearson had, you saw the shortstop range back into short left field. Keep in mind that it is a very simple rule. It is an infielder's ball. He must try to get everything he can, but once the outfielder calls for it, then the infielder's responsibility is to get out of the way, and if the ball drops, then it's the outfielder's responsibility to take that ball. So it is an infielder's ball. He has to go back after everything that's hit in the air, but once he hears the outfielder call for it, he's got to get out of the way. And on that last play, you saw the shortstop go back. The left fielder playing deep could not have gotten there in time, so the shortstop took charge. But that's for you younger players. Keep that in mind, that it's an infielder's ball. Unless the outfielder says something, then it's his responsibility.
And good range by the shortstop for the Cowboys, Monty Ferris. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Chris Stahl, the right fielder for the Cowboys, who is 0 for 2 tonight. Grounded out in the second and the fourth inning. Low pitch outside. Count goes to 2-2. Sooners hanging on to a 2-1 lead here against the Cowboys. OSU got on the board in the first inning. Sergio Espinal walked, and a double by Jimmy Berrigan brought him home. Swing and a miss, and Stahl strikes out.
Tell you what, Jimmy Long has just done a magnificent job of pitching. He's held the Sooners to 5 hits. Jimmy Richardson touched him for 2 doubles, and of course Kevin Burdick's line drive single up the middle. Sooners have not hit that ball hard a lot. They got an infield base hit by Sean Grubb. Of course, the Cowboys only have 3 hits themselves. Magnificent pitching on both sides, and you're right, the Sooners are hanging on by just 1 run, and with 3 innings to go, that's not near enough.
And so far, the pitching for the Sooners today has been number 1. Came up with a 2-hitter in the first game today. Billy Paul Carver sends one down to right field, and a great catch on the run made by Scott Wilkinson. And the Sooners are gone. 1, 2, 3 here. The only time this month you'll be able to see it on Cinemax, so mark that down on your calendar. A reminder here that we'll be coming back your way. Our next game here on Cox Production here, KCOX, will be coming up on Monday, April 7th, as the OU Sooners take on the Texas Longhorns. And that's not a very exciting series, is it?
No, last year the 2 teams played down in Austin with the Sooners and Longhorns splitting. First game here, the Sooners won, and Bobby Witt, who will be with the Texas Rangers when the Major League season opens, tied a school record by fanning 17 Longhorns in a great game here on a Monday night. The next night, the Sooners led 2-0 when the game was rained out. So, yeah, the series is a magnificent one. Texas OU in anything is a big series.
Jimmy Berrigan, who's 2 for 2, drills one straight back, way back. It's over the wall, a home run, and Berrigan has tied this game up for the Cowboys here in the top of the 7th with a towering blast straight back over the wall and deep center field.
Well, that's what the Cowboys have been waiting for, their big gun Jimmy Berrigan to cut loose, and he certainly did so. He went the opposite way somewhat. A ball to left center field. The wind is not that much of a factor tonight. Probably helped it a little bit, not that much. And Jimmy Berrigan was his 11th home run, and we have a tie ball game. And Sherman Collins really disgustedly threw his glove down when the ball was hit. He knew he did not make a good pitch, and as a result, we have a tie game. That's the first home run of the series for OSU.
Good point, because the Sooners pitchers have been able to shut down the heavy OSU hitters, but that has now gone by the wayside. So Berrigan, who doubled in the first, singled in the fourth, has hit a home run here in the top of the seventh. Nobody out. The game tied at 2-2. Scott Wilkinson, the right fielder, comes up. He is 0 for 2 tonight. He struck out in the first, and he flew out to left field in the fourth. Here's the 1-1 delivery. High 2-1. Wilkinson, 301 on the year for the average. 3 home runs, 20 RBIs, and that home run has got the OSU fans a little bit more feisty over to our right here tonight.
And Collins has now fallen behind 3-1, and you see that so often. After a home run, you've been pitching beautiful. You're ahead by 1. You lose that margin, and now you want to strike out everybody. You're mad at yourself. You're mad at everybody, and you just want to knock everybody down.
Hard shot off the leg of Collins. Third base picks it up, and safe as Sean Grubb couldn't hang on as Richardson threw it to him.
That should be an error against Jimmy Richardson because he had plenty of time to make the throw. He just threw it low, much as the Oklahoma State third baseman has done on a couple of occasions tonight.
And there you saw the disgust of Jimmy Richardson, the senior out of Marlow, Oklahoma. So the Cowboys are threatening to have a man on first, nobody out. They have tied the game up here in the top of the seventh.
They've scored at a hit upstairs, carom off Sherman Collins, but it caromed right to Jimmy, and the hitter was only about 4 steps out of the box because he'd hit the ball so hard. So I think Oklahoma State got a gift on that hit, scoring hit there. Now both teams have 5 hits. Collins is being checked after the ball caromed off, I believe, his leg. Don't know which one. The trainer, Jeff Cookman, went out. Apparently he was satisfied there was nothing wrong. Now Stan Meek just wants to talk to him, not about the injury, but about pitching, because here's where the game could be won and lost. Jimmy Long has done a really fine job for the Cowboys holding the Sooners down. Now the Cowboys are making their run. The potential go-ahead run is at first base with nobody out here for Oklahoma State, and Stan Meek just wants to tell Sherman Collins, hey, don't throw the whole game away just because they've tied it.
Well, the way Sherman Collins was moving around after the ball hit, it looked like it was his left leg. We'll just keep a look. And by the way, just a reminder, the next game is Monday, April 7th here live on KCOX Sports Production as we bring you the OU Sooners and the Texas Longhorns. Be a great game. Don't forget to tune us in 7 p.m. as we give you the best of OU baseball this year.
Because only 7 teams play Big 8 baseball, Colorado, as you know, does not participate. There's an uneven schedule throughout the year, and one team has a bye every weekend. And, of course, they take turns as to who has that bye. Next weekend is the Sooners' bye, so they will not have to play conference activity when Texas comes to town. They'll be playing Arkansas Little Rock next Saturday and Sunday in Norman, and will have their pitching set for the rotation against Texas. Texas, meanwhile, apparently has a conference series against the University of Arkansas. I believe that's correct. So the Sooners will have their pitching set up for the Longhorns because they won't have a conference series preceding that.
Nobody out. Man on first here for the Cowboys, top of the seventh. Bobby McKercher, who is 0 for 2 on the night, grounded out to the second baseman in the second inning and also the fifth inning. So the senior out of San Carlos, California, one of 7 players from the state of California on the Cowboys squad, facing a 1-1 situation. Here's the pitch by Collins. A shot to the shortstop. Could be a double play here for the Sooners, and they complete it. Nice play there by the Sooners. Shortstop to second to first. That has cleaned the bases off, and the Cowboys have 2 outs here.
That time, John Toll really cut loose. He had to. He was stationary. He had to make a hard throw from the bag and did so. So those, and I'm sure even himself wondering about the tendonitis, would it flare up? He certainly cut loose with a great throw there, and the Sooners, at least for the moment, are out of a little bit of trouble.
Monty Ferris, the shortstop for the Cowboys, steps up. He's 0 for 2 tonight. He ground out to the shortstop in the second inning, and he flew out to center in the fifth, hitting .237 with 2 home runs and 11 RBIs on the year. Here's the pitch by Collins. Evens up the count at 1-1. I think Sherman may have been thinking about that home run pitch that he gave up to Berrigan as Scott Wilkinson was able to go up on him on a 3-1 count.
I think so, too. I don't think there's any doubt about it. He's fallen behind here 2-1, but nobody on base. It would take the home run to give the Cowboys the lead. And, of course, when you're home team, you play things a little bit differently than you do when you're the visitors. 2 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for the Cowboys.
And they come up with their 6th hit on the night as Ferris drills one off into left field.
3rd hit this inning, and usually a pitcher such as a Sherman Collins or a Scott Hamilton or a Jimmy Long, for instance, they'll have that one inning where things just aren't there. And this is the rough spot for Sherman Collins, and of course the double play really looms big now.
Mike, you take a look at the bullpen. And,
Kevin Burdick, number 15 is Kevin Burdick. To the right of your screen, we mentioned that he probably would be used in relief. That's why he DH'd today rather than played second base.
Chopper to 3rd, the quick throw to 2nd. That'll do it. The Cowboys are out, but they come up with a big run here. And after 6.5 from All Sports, it's the And Grubb is 1 for 2 on the night. He grounded out in the 3rd and singled in the 4th.
That picture on your monitor or on your television screen was of Mike Bollinger. Mike, of course, the longtime assistant here at OU. He was also the head coach at OCU for 2 years. And this past summer was the head coach of the Liberal Ban Johnson Ball Club, which won the national semi-pro or non-pro tournament in Wichita, Kansas. So Mike Bollinger coaching 3rd, talking with the umpire now, and we may have a pinch hitter coming up. Glenn Sullivan, number 9, Glenn Sullivan is going to be pinch hitting here for the Sooners, a left-handed batter. Glenn, the number 3 quarterback for the Sooners when they went to the Orange Bowl this past year. He's an outfielder by trade, pinch hitting here in the 7th inning, trying to get something started.
So Sullivan comes in for Sean Grubb, batting .304 with 7 RBIs on the year. You know, over the evolution of football in the last 25 years, you've gone from multi-purpose players who played offense and defense to specialists now. Is this happening in baseball, too, as we watch Kevin Burdick warm up in the bullpen? And he has gone second base to 1st, and Sullivan is out. And he is thrown out, and there's 1 away.
Steve, I think that the more things you can do, the more valuable you are. And, of course, when you don't have a lot of scholarships, you only have 13 in NCAA baseball. If you can do more than one thing, you're going to be a lot more valuable than somebody who's unidimensional. So the emphasis is on people who can play more than one position, who can do more than one thing.
Robert Lavender 1 for 1 tonight. A single in the 3rd. He walked in the 4th.
Well, Jimmy Long continues to pitch well. 1 out and nobody on here. The Cowboys have tied the score. The only 2 runs off of Long, as we mentioned, were unearned. So in a 2-2 ball game, as you get down toward the late innings, you really have to credit Long because he has handled the Sooners very well.
And the Sooners have failed to get on base the last 8 batters in a row. Lavender, the junior out of Lawton, Oklahoma, facing a 2-0 pitch. Sends a slow roller to second base. He'll have to hurry. And he's gone. On a great play. Good stretch by Brannigan on first base to make an excellent catch. And Lavender is gone here. 2 out in the 7th inning.
The range of your second baseman is pretty much measured. And how can he go to his right? Can he make the play behind second base? Obviously, when you're going to your left, you're going toward first base. The throw isn't that hard. And Sergio Espinal going away from first base toward second, then had to try to get something on his throw and did a real fine job, and that's what a second baseman has to do. And he just put on a clinic as to how to play second base on that particular play.
Last 2 hitters hitting 2nd to 1st, keeping it on the ground, and stepping up now is the leadoff batter for the Sooners, Bain Brooks, the center fielder. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Flew out the right center in the 1st. He struck out in the 3rd, and he was out in a fielder's choice in the 4th.
And we mentioned again, we'll do it, that Bain Brooks is the catalyst. If he's not getting on base, if he's not making things happen, the Sooners don't score a lot of runs, and he's been kept in check this evening.
1-1 now as Jimmy Long got the strike over. Brooks with a lot of speed here for the Sooners. Hitting .362, the pitch. He pops one up to center field. Going back is Mark Melazea, and that's the end of the inning for the Sooners. So no runs, no hits, no errors in the bottom of the 7th.
First base.
Leading off the Oklahoma State ace, left fielder Chris.
So Flores, who saw action on Friday night,
There's a good picture of him on your screen. Shane Flores, one of the many transfers playing for the Sooners this year.
Chris Deaton now hitting .333 with 3 home runs and 13 RBIs. Sends a sharp liner off the third. It goes into left field. He'll be trying for 2. Here comes the throw. And he's safe as the ball comes in high. So Deaton starts things off for the Cowboys with a double, putting them in scoring position with nobody out here on the top of the 8th.
We mentioned at the top of the show how important this game is for Oklahoma State. The Sooners have won 2. They've assured themselves of a split regardless of what happens. But anything either tonight or tomorrow would give them 3 out of 4 and a big jump in the conference race. So this is a very important game for Oklahoma State to get back on track. They had lost to Wichita. They had defeated New Mexico, and then last night and tonight. So they've lost 3 of their last 4. And this is the game that they want to get on track because tomorrow they got to go back to Norman and play in the Sooners' home park. A big ball game. They're getting a well-pitched game from Jimmy Long. And this could be the key inning as far as the Cowboys are concerned because the potential go-ahead and potential winning run is at second with nobody out.
Well, the leadoff hitter for the Cowboys, the man from New York City, Sergio Espinal, the second baseman. He is 0 for 2 tonight, hitting .329 on the year. Walked in the first, struck out in the third, and grounded out in the 6th. And he looked to bunt there, and he quickly backed out of that.
Espinal showed bunt, as you said, and it'll be interesting. Jimmy Richardson was not coming down from third. It may be that the Sooners will let Collins field that side of the diamond and hope to keep the runner at second. Of course, that may be a moot point if he walks their Sergio Espinal here.
Fastball outside by Sherman Collins. Cowboys have 7 hits on the night here in the top of the 8th. They have 2 runs. And the Sooners have 5. Cowboys showing 2 errors on the evening. Cowboys with 2 and the Sooners none. 2 balls, no strikes. Here's the pitch to Espinal. Swing and a miss. 2-1.
Cowboys switching off 2-0 instead of bunting. They went after it, and I'm a little bit surprised at that because I thought they would take to make it 3-0 or again show bunt. But they switched off, and Espinal was swinging away at 2-0.
Nobody out here for OSU in the top of the 8th. Chris Deaton sitting on second base with a double. And strike 2. Collins getting tough on the batter, Sergio Espinal. As we mentioned earlier, Espinal was redshirted and in that tough leadoff position here for the Cowboys. A lot expected of a player who leads off the lineup. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. And Espinal goes down on the wayside.
Steve, that pretty much takes care of the bunt situation. A sacrifice which would have moved the runner over to third with less than 2 out. Now you don't look for the bunt because with 1 away, the Sooners will trade it out for a base. They'll let the runner go to third for the out here, which means that Oklahoma State would only have 1 out and had to hit them in. So the sacrifice is pretty much by the board on a good pitching performance here there by Sherman Collins.
Sherman Collins now with 6 strikeouts on the evening. And only 1 walk, as now it's the catcher Adam Smith stepping up. He is 0 for 3 on the night. He was thrown out at first base in the first inning. He struck out in the third and struck out in the 6th. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, he struck out twice last night.
Bill Springman, there's a good shot on your screen. Bill Springman is the outfield coach for the Sooners, and he was just positioning Bain Brooks in center field, telling him where he wanted him to be based on the pitching pattern that Collins has for the catcher Adam Smith.
No balls, 1 strike. 1 out here. Top of the 8th inning. Cowboys have a man at second base in scoring position. 0-2 now to Smith. Smith has struck out, I believe, 4 of his last 5 times coming to the plate in this series. There's the pitch.
Adam Smith, of course, recorded the final out in last night's game by fanning against Darrell Clark with the tying run at third base. So what a position here to make up for that if he can deliver.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Sherman Collins working on Adam Smith, the catcher for the Cowboys. Top of the 8th inning. Here's the pitch. Strike 3. And Smith is gone for the 3rd time tonight. And there are now 2 away. And Robin Ventura comes up to the plate. Ventura, the third baseman for the Cowboys, is 0 for 3 tonight. He grounded out in the first and the fourth, and he flew out to center in the sixth inning.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sherman Collins has really done a job of pitching. He's not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. The untying run, the potential go-ahead run at second with nobody out. But he's come up with 2 big strikeouts, and now if Ventura gets the base hit, he deserves for the credit for doing the job when his teammates could not do it, couldn't even get him over to third. So far, a great performance by Sherman Collins, but he's still not through yet.
Ventura batting .436, 5 home runs, 18 RBIs. This is the third game of a 4-game series between these two teams. Bedlam Baseball 86 between these two clubs. Opposite field fly going way back, just foul, almost hit the flagpole.
And I'll tell you, that big breeze that you feel way up here in our telecast booth is the sigh of relief from all of the thousands of Sooner fans who watched that ball fade and fade. But would it fade fast enough? Would it fade enough to get foul? And it barely did. So it's just a loud foul, but my goodness gracious.
Interesting contrast in the way the fans' enthusiasm was showing. The Cowboys fans, all right, stood up, and the Sooner fans sunk deeper in their seats as the ball was heading toward that flagpole.
There's the flag, as you see on your screen. It is blowing a little bit from right to left. Will favor any ball hit toward left field.
1 ball, 1 strike. Robin Ventura. 6 home runs on the year. Was looking for a 7th, and it's 1-2 now. Ventura, not pleased, steps out of the batter's box. Cowboys have a man at second base. Chris Deaton started off the inning with a double. And then Sherman Collins has settled down a little bit, has 2 strikeouts in a row. He did the same thing in the third inning, striking out the side. Here's the pitch by Collins, strike 3, and for the second time tonight, he has struck out the side on the Cowboys. And they leave a man stranded at second. So after 7.5 complete here, it's the Sooners 2, the Cowboys 2. We'll be back with more Bedlam Baseball right after this. This is the third of 4, and I see that the Cowboys have switched catchers now. They brought in Carlos Diaz in.
A little bit more experience, and you're getting into the late portion of the game where you can't afford any mistake. We're in the bottom half of the 8th inning of a tie ball game.
Jim Richardson, the Sooners' third baseman, comes up, takes the ball. Tonight he is 2 for 3, 1 RBI, doubled in the first, doubled in the third, and then he ground out in the 5th. Inside delivery there by Long. It is 1-0.
Both pulled bullpens are busy. Both starters have done a tremendous job, but you're at that point of the game now where one error or one mistake leads to a run that could beat you because you just don't have any time to come back. Sooners in the 8th. Cowboys with only 1 more trip unless this game remains tied. And the count now 3-0, and the Sooners, 2-0 is what the board says. I thought it was 3-0. At any rate, Sooners have not had a base runner since what inning, Steve? Certainly they haven't had a hit since about the 5th inning. At any rate, this is a very important hitter for the Sooners, obviously.
Sooners haven't had a base runner since inning number 4.
Yeah.
And they've been able to mow down the last 10. Long shot down the right field line. It's a fair ball, and Richardson will dig for second base. And he'll go for third now as they try the long throw. Wilkinson couldn't get it to him. And Richardson is standing up for the triple here. And what a great opportunity now for the Sooners.
Steve, have you ever seen anybody as hot as Jim Richardson has been in this particular 3-game series? That's his 3rd hit tonight. We talked about his 4-hit performance last night, and this afternoon we mentioned that even though he went 0 for 2, he walked twice and scored a run. He's red hot. And the Sooners, like the Cowboys, have the potential go-ahead run in scoring position with nobody out. Now, they have him at 3rd, whereas the Cowboys only had him at 2nd. And the Sooners at the top of their order, and Kevin Burdick stepping in, and this is the golden opportunity for them to take the lead, just as the Cowboys had that opportunity in the top half of this inning.
Well, they've given Richardson a double and an error to the right fielder, Scott Wilkerson. And it's a 0-1 count now to Kevin Burdick. Burdick hitting .429 coming into the game, and tonight he is 1 for 3 with 1 RBI. He grounded out in the first, singled in the third, struck out in the fifth. Sooners with a man on third, nobody out here. Game tied 2-2, bottom of the 8th. Sooners would love to dearly come out of here with a win tonight and stretch their margin to 3-0 with this big 4-game set with the Cowboys.
See the right-hander in the OSU bullpen, and also the infield defense is pulled in. With nobody out and a runner third, they're pulled in trying to cut off the run at the plate. That may do it as Burdick sends a long fly to center. If it's caught, it probably will score the run.
Way back toward the warning track. Burdick's out on the fly. Here comes the throw. We don't get one, and the Sooners have grabbed the lead back at 3-2 as Jim Richardson trots home after Burdick sent a long, deep fly out the center. And Mark Blazia threw it back into second. He didn't challenge the runner at all. And it's 3-2. Sooners have grabbed the lead back again for the second time tonight.
That's really taking the most of your opportunities. We have been talking. You have been watching the Cowboys threaten. They had a man at third, couldn't get him in. Man at second and nobody out, couldn't get him in. And the Sooners, with their only opportunity since the 4th inning to score a run, did so on a double, an error, and a sacrifice fly. And they've taken the lead 3-2 here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
And up at the plate now for the Sooners, John Toll, the second baseman.
You're not going to believe this, Steve. That's the 9th time this season that John Toll has been hit by a pitch. 9 times. Now, I don't know what the NCAA record is, but he's got to be crowding it. That's a lot of times. If you'll watch John Toll hit, he turns his left shoulder as the ball is made, as the pitch is made, and he's been nicked 9 times.
So Toll's on first base as he technically hit by the pitch, and Kevin Pearson, the shortstop, steps up, hitting .370. 14 home runs, 34 RBIs, had a home run last night, had a home run this afternoon. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out to the shortstop in the second. He flew out to center in the third, and he flew out to the shortstop in the sixth. So pitcher Jimmy Long, who had nailed 10 Sooners in a row, here in this 8th inning, though, Richardson starts off with the double and goes to third on the error. And he scored the run as Burdick sent a long, deep flyout sacrifice to center.
For Richardson, that was his 9th hit of the series. He had 4 last night, 3 tonight, did not hit this afternoon, even though he scored a run, walked twice. And certainly, if there would be an MVP of the series so far, it would have to be Richardson.
Here's the pitch by Long. Pearson pops it off between the third and shortstop, sends it off into left field for a single. And the Sooners now have been on first and second base.
Kevin Pearson this afternoon had a day that you all like to have. He went 3 for 3, 1 run batted in. He hit a home run, his 14th of the year. Last night he hit his 13th of the year. So he too has had a hot series. And the Sooners now, with runners at first and second, a chance to expand a very precarious 1-run lead. There's one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And with Stull and Carver coming up, they'll be facing the right-hander. So if OSU does make a pitching change, it will have to be a right-hander because they don't want to go left versus right in a situation like this.
Chris Stull steps up, the right fielder, who is 0 for 3. Sooners have one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. They've got 2 on board, and now we may have a pitching change here. At least they're going to talk about it here, Mike.
That's the pitching coach, Holiday, as he goes to the mound, and I don't know if they're going to make a switch here. There's a right-hander warming up, as we've mentioned. As you see him on your screen, a right-hander and a left-hander. But again, speculating they would not bring a left-hander in a situation like this. We don't know if they're going to take Jimmy Long out of the ball game, but this is a very crucial time for Oklahoma State. They're going to have to make up at least 1 run in the top of the 9th inning. The Sooners trying to get more. The old word is insurance, of course, and they're going to bring in the right-hander. So Jimmy Long has pitched 7 1/3 spectacular innings, probably deserves a better fate. 2 of the 3 runs scored against him have been unearned, and the 3rd error of the game against the Cowboys contributed to the Sooners this inning because of the double and error which allowed Jimmy Richardson to go to third. As things turned out, he would have scored anyway, so it will be an earned run. But nevertheless, Jimmy Long should deserve, and he is getting a very fine ovation from this crowd of about 6,000 people for a job well done this evening for Oklahoma State.
Well, the Cowboys now going to make a pitching change, as Mike mentioned. Jeff Bronke, the right-handed pitcher, the junior out of Klamath Falls, Oregon, stepping in. Bronke, who has made 8 appearances so far this year, his record 2-2, his ERA 3.24. He has pitched 11 innings so far, has given up 13 hits, 8 runs. 4 of those were earned. He's given up 2 home runs and 7 walks and 12 strikeouts. So he has the best ERA on the Cowboys staff. And he'll see if he can put out this fire that the Sooners have lit the timbers to here on the top of their, make that the bottom of the 8th inning here at All Sports Stadium.
They just had a message on the public address system that I think we would like to pass along too. Both the Oklahoma State Cowboys and the Oklahoma Sooners will play the Oklahoma City 89ers on April 9th. The games will be or the Oklahoma portion of the doubleheader will be telecast here. But it gives you an opportunity not only to see what the 89ers are going to have, because their season will open, I think, either the day after or 2 days after, but it'll also give you a chance to support both the Cowboys and the Sooners. Now, many times in the past, the 89ers have been good enough to donate part of the proceeds to those games to the 2 schools. If the schools sell the ticket, they get the proceeds. I don't know if that's in effect this year, but everybody wins in a game like that. So if the weather's good, I hope you'll make plans to come out and see that what really amounts to a doubleheader involving 3 teams, the 89ers, the Cowboys, and the Sooners, and that's April 9th, I believe, Steve.
Mike, I've never been involved with that in the sport of baseball, but I know how it is in the sport of hockey at one time, where we had the professional team play the University of Minnesota, and I'll tell you, the pros want to beat them. They don't want to be red-faced in front of a bunch of amateurs. So it should be an exciting game. The 89ers are going to go full tilt to let everybody know how good they are. So it should be a great game. Come on out and enjoy both teams.
A lot of people ask, did they use aluminum bats or wooden bats? The answer is the 89ers use the wood and the colleges use the aluminum, which is a little bit of an advantage for the colleges, of course.
Jeff Bronke now in pitching for the Cowboys. Throwing to Chris Dahl, the right fielder. Here's the pitch. Hit and run way back to the warning track, and Stahl is out on a long fly, and the Sooners have to quickly come back.
Steve, it was the double steal. The Sooners do that quite often. It is the double steal. Now, the batter is not, his option is to swing. If it's a pitch he likes, he can swing. So, in reality, it's the reverse of the hit and run. It's the run and hit. If Stahl feels that the runners can get the jump and make the play, he might not have swung on that particular ball. But on that occasion, the ball was to his liking. He swung, and the double steal went for naught as both runners got back to their respective bases.
Big out for the Cowboys now. The Sooners with 2 outs, been on first and second. Have the 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Billy Paul Carver, the catcher for the Sooners.
He's had a tough day, Steve. He's 0 for 7, went 0 for 4 this afternoon, 0 for 3 tonight. He hit the ball hard once. Espinal made a great leaping catch of a line drive. But Billy Paul just hasn't done the job today, and he needs a base hit here and didn't get it.
And the quick throw to first base. Berrigan pulls it in, and there goes the Sooners by the wayside. But they come up with 1 big run, and they've grabbed the lead here. We go to the top of the ninth. Last one that he hit was in the 7th inning. A home run that tied the game up at 2 apiece. He doubled to the right side in the 1st inning, and he singled in the 4th. So Berrigan is catching on fire. He is 3 for 3. Sherman Collins, the OU pitcher, is going to have to shut him down this time.
Steve, if you got to face Jimmy Berrigan, you'd rather have him leading off the inning like he is. Even if he hits one out, it would be just as had happened the last time he hit one out. It would tie the score, but it wouldn't put the Sooners in jeopardy of losing right away. Sherman Collins is his 2nd fine outing. As we mentioned, he defeated Oral Roberts on Tuesday, the nation's 5th-rated team, got credit for the victory. He has not gone the distance yet this year, and if he could do so, this would be by far the finest pitching performance of his college career, which would make the Sooners 2 for 2 in finest pitching performances of a college career following Zaltzman's fine job this afternoon.
Zaltzman, by the way, gave up only 2 hits in 7 innings, and the Sooners 8-2 victory over the Cowboys. Here's the pitch to Berrigan, called strike 1.
Let me correct myself. Sherman Collins does have a complete game. It was a 7-inning complete game that was thrown down at Pan American University in Edinburgh, Texas.
Berrigan sends it to second base. Toll turns, throws him out, and there's 1 away. So John Toll takes care of Jim Berrigan, and he is gone, and there's 1 out, and that was a big out for the Sooners.
They're all big outs, obviously. When you hear somebody say, boy, that was a big out, of course, they're all big outs. There are 27 of them you got to get, and every one of them are difficult, but there are some that you just breathe a little more easily when they are retired, and Berrigan is certainly one of those.
Well, Collins, who has given up 4 hits in the last 2 innings, faces now Scott Wilkinson. Wilkinson, the right fielder, is 1 for 3. He struck out in the first, flew out the left field in the fourth, and he singled in the 7th. Collins, who has 8 strikeouts in the game so far, has given up just 1 walk.
Keep in mind, we told you before the game that ratio was pretty bad for Sherman. He had walked 28 and struck out 27. This will help a little bit.
Chopper to the third, goes foul. Wilkinson just getting a piece of the ball. Steve Michael and Mike Treps with you tonight here at All Sports Stadium. And Mike, you couldn't have asked for a better game tonight.
No, we've had excellent weather. We've had excellent baseball. And those two combinations are why 6,000 people come out to a college game in March.
Here's the windup, the pitch. Strike 3 as Wilkinson goes down on the boards as Collins takes care of him. There are 2 down. And the Cowboys have come up to their last chance here in this ball game to tie the game up.
Well, last night the Sooners hung on for an 8-7 victory. Today the Sooners lead 3-2 after winning in what was I guess you could call it a laugher, 8-2. At least it wasn't one of these gut wrenchers that you found between these 2 clubs and these 2 night games in Oklahoma City. Remember, they have 1 game left tomorrow at 2 o'clock in Norman.
Bobby McKercher comes up. He's 0 for 3. And the last chance for the Cowboys here. 2 outs, top of the 9th. They trail by 1. The Sooners, who came up with a big run in the bottom of the 8th inning to get the lead back again after they had been forced into a 2-2 tie in the 7th inning. 0-1 offering, strike 2.
Sherman's just coming right after him, and now the entire OU section off to the left, most of them on their feet. If Sherman Collins has 1 more strike in him, the Sooners would like to see it right here.
McKercher, who came into the game batting .429. Here's the pitch.
Tried to overthrow that one, no doubt about it. His out pitch, we've talked to you about this evening, is the curveball. That time he came with the heater, tried to get it by him, overthrew and threw the ball into the dirt. Now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. He certainly doesn't want to walk this man, but he has a couple of pitches he can still play with and hope that McKercher does go for a bad pitch.
McKercher has been holding down the good batting average. Is 0 for 3, as we mentioned. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Strike 3. They'll throw him out at first. That's the ball game. And the Sooners have stretched their margin against the Cowboys. They go to first place in the Big 8. They are 3-0. They have now won 6 straight. And they've beaten the Cowboys 3 tough times in a row with 1 game remaining tomorrow. We'll be back to recap it all. 3-2. The Sooners come up with a win here at All Sports. We'll be back right after this. A big victory tonight for the OU Sooners. They fought tooth and nail with the Cowboys all the way through this game. And Mike, if you had thought about that maybe pitching was going to be the tale of the day in both games and in the series for the Sooners, it's been very tough. I think everybody would be pleasantly surprised the way the pitching staff has performed.
Steve, I couldn't put it better if you, as I say yesterday, said the Sooners are going to win 3 games mostly with their pitching. People would say, that's not going to happen. And yet it did. They got complete game performances from Stan Zaltzman and Sherman Collins today. Great work from Scott Hamilton and Derek Clark last night. And as a result, they've done what nobody really thought could be done. They've swept 3 straight from the Cowboys with 1 to go. The worst that can happen now is a 3 out of 4. And before the series, if you'd have said the Sooners were going to take 3 out of 4 from a club as good as Oklahoma State, most of the Sooner fans would say, let's take it and don't even play the series.
OU pitcher Sherman Collins showed a lot of class. His record goes to 4-2 after giving up the big home run to Jimmy Berrigan in the 7th inning to lead things off to tie the score at 2-2. He was able to compose himself, get himself back into the pitching mode, and settle down and waited for his hitters to come up big and come up with a victory. And it was the Sooners who got good performances by Jim Richardson again tonight. Richardson going for 3 for 4 in this game and has been red hot, as Mike mentioned, 9 hits in the series so far.
That's right. With one game to go, we hope you've enjoyed our telecast. I know Steve and I have certainly enjoyed it, perhaps me more than Steve, because this is what I do for a living, and it's much more enjoyable when you win than when you lose.
You betcha. And the OU Sooners have come up big, and a reminder that they'll be playing again tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. down at Mitchell Field. Just a reminder that our next game here on KCOX Sports is Monday, April 7th, the OU Sooners, and enough opponent against the Texas Longhorns. I want to thank Michael for joining us on board tonight. He did another great job, and want to thank the boys back in the truck. Mark Foley doing a great job there. So the final score for the final time tonight from All Sports, it was the Sooners 3, the Cowboys 2. Good night, everybody.